Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Before I get started in today's video, I have a little personal thing to say. A shout out to our daughter here. She's 18 years old and today she's graduating. And she has done an amazing job. We are so proud of her. So if you don't mind, allow me at least a minute or so to brag about her. As most of you know from watching the channel, we homeschool. But there's one of the local small schools here. They have in their junior and senior year, they can attend a college, a tech college. And they had a program that's exactly what she's wanting to do. She's wanting to be a professional chef, and they had a very reputable culinary program. So anyway, she went to school there her last couple of years. And she's done an amazing job, and today she's graduating. This past year, she was on the high honor roll twice, and she's received two resolutions from the Missouri State House of Representatives for her academic achievements. And so I just want to say how proud we are of her. Her name is Scarlett, and she's actually probably one of my biggest fans on here, so she may actually watch this. And she does help me a lot with this channel, and she keeps me up to date on the newest things going out there in her generation. And you may laugh, but she actually does help a lot because she's very much of like mind of myself and many of you older folks about what's going on in the world and how to prepare for it. But yet she also is of the younger generation, so she kind of keeps me up to date so that I don't sound too old-fashioned on here. Which we all know that I do from time to time. Anyway, so I just wanted to give a shout out to her. Scarlett, you've done an amazing job, and we are very proud of you as you graduate today. So, with that being said, we're going to talk about a very boring subject today. And I know some of you are like, we already know about this. This is boring. We want to talk about, resistance and lock and load and keeping your powder dry because that's exciting. But this subject is something that is, it's currently happening, and it's something that we should be aware of. And that is, well, the supply chain crisis, collapse, whatever you want to call it. And we're seeing this on a regular basis. I read not too long ago in an article, I don't remember where it was, it may have been on Yahoo News, how it was talking about, and it was kind of funny because it was a mainstream news article, and they were like, it's so strange that, in 2020 and 2021, that there's been so many disruptions to the global supply chain that we just don't understand why. It's just, what a worse time could it pick to have all these disruptions? We've got this health crisis going on, and then all of a sudden, we have all these strange things happen to our supply chain. Anyways, it's not a coincidence. Obviously, the big recent one was the pipeline that was hacked and shut down, the Colonial Pipeline. And of course, that's been reopened, and they're trying to get things back to normal. And, they say it may take a week or two before things start to feel normal again at the gas pump. But there's something else that's also happened recently that I think got a blip in the news, and it's been, they're somewhat taking care of it now, but it's still something that I want to talk about to illustrate how fragile it is. And this is this Memphis bridge, the I-40 bridge going over Memphis. I've been over that bridge several times. I'm originally from Tennessee, so that's one of the ways that I have gone in over the years to go into Tennessee. And it's a major bridge, 40,000 cars, vehicles a day approximately go over that bridge, 6-lane over the Mississippi. And there's this big crack that has appeared in this, and they've shut it down indefinitely until it can be completely repaired or rebuilt or whatever they decide to do. I understand that there is some speculation out there of, is this just a natural occurrence that it cracked, or is this, either that it's been done on purpose. And of course, according to the mainstream media, no one in the media or the government is alluding to that at all. But there are some theories floating around that maybe this has been done on purpose, because already this incident with this bridge is being used to promote Biden's infrastructure plan, which, as we all know, only a tiny fraction of it is actually going towards infrastructure, not including the fact that they're calling now everything infrastructure. So there's that. But so the bridge is shut down, and they're rerouting traffic. So, is that a big, and I'm going to get to more than just the bridge. So stay with me. I know you're thinking, man, is he making a whole video about the bridge? No, not necessarily. It's just proving some points. So the bridge traffic is being rerouted in a few different directions. So all that traffic is still going to get across the Mississippi. It may take a little longer. It may slow logistics down a little bit, especially for the trucking industry. But the big thing that happened is, for a few days, they shut down the barge traffic beneath the bridge. No barges could go north or south of the bridge until they inspected it to made sure that the bridge did not just fall on its own. They want to make sure the bridge could stand on its own, so that it wouldn't fall on a barge. Now, they only shut down that barge traffic for a couple of days, but in that amount of time, almost 1,100 barges were backed up. It even caused corn prices to fluctuate, because they were worried that this stopping of the flow of the Mississippi traffic could last weeks, and it didn't. But it actually caused some of the commodity prices of crops to fluctuate a little bit. Here's the thing. Nearly 100% of our exports, agricultural exports, corn, soybean, wheat, all that kind of stuff, travel on the Mississippi River. They go down the Mississippi River, and they're picked up down at the Gulf there, and then they go wherever they go. Almost all of it. That's pretty significant, and to think that one single crack in one bridge could bring that all to a crashing, screeching halt. And of course, they'd have to figure out other ways, but any other way, by rail or truck, is going to take longer, and it's going to be more expensive. The barge traffic is pretty quick, and it's considered the cheapest way to move a lot of goods that length. But what we saw is even though it only stopped it for just a couple of days, we have seen how fragile the infrastructure is of our supply chain. Our supply chain, and I have said this for so many years, and I really was awakened to this years ago when I worked for the feds. Well, I worked for the federal government. And I saw through some of the training and stuff how fragile everything was. The average city, the average community, the average person has about 3 days of supplies if they were cut off from the rest of the world. So, if you live in a town, regardless of the size, if your town has 500 people or has 500,000 people or 5 million people, it doesn't matter. If that city was cut off from the supply chain, it's approximately 3 to 5 days before it's running out of everything. Grocery stores, run dry, everything. And which is, if nothing else, if you don't believe any of this other stuff that's going on, if you don't believe any of the, global takeover and the Great Reset and the Grand Solar Minimum and all this kind of stuff, if nothing else, this alone is a reason to be more prepared, to have a supply of your own goods, so that if this supply chain breaks down temporarily or permanently, or at least extended time, you have a backup. And so we saw just with this one spot in the Mississippi River, with one singular bridge, with one crack in that bridge. I don't know how big that beam is. I've seen the pictures, but it's just a crack. They shut down the Mississippi River, shut down all the barge traffic, and within just like almost overnight, here's 1,100 barges that are waiting to get across that can't. And if they had shut that down, or if the bridge had collapsed, and it would have caused, barge traffic to stop for maybe weeks or months, think of the devastation. Now, there's also speculation, is this being done as another little beta test to just see it's possible? You know, I'm not going to rule that out, but the point is that for you and I, we should see that this is, it should be enough to kind of wake you up. And the thing is that the supply chain right now is fragile. There's articles, Yahoo News, other ones are talking about this, that you know, our infrastructure, our supply chain, whether it's food or any kind of goods, it's hurting right now. The Suez Canal, that whole ship over there that was shut down and, you know, stuck in the Suez Canal, they're just now starting to kind of get to a normalcy over there, to where things are starting to move, but it certainly backed everything up. The port of LA, Los Angeles, the port there's still over 100,000 shipping containers sitting off the port of LA waiting to unload. And we don't really know what's in those shipping containers. Are there perishable goods that's going to be bad, or that's going to deteriorate from sitting in those containers for so long out in the sun and the ocean? We don't know, but they're sitting there. Do you know that there's been over 3 million in the last year? There's been over 3 million automobiles that's not been produced. They were scheduled to be produced, but they've not been produced because of this microchip shortage. 3 million already. They expect that number to increase. That there's a shortage of brand new cars. It doesn't affect me because I have no interest in buying a brand new car. Not just because I can't afford one, because I don't want a brand new car. But that's certainly going to affect a lot of things. You know, remember, folks, we've said this many times on here, that our entire supply chain system, all of it, it works like a fine-tuned machine, very fine-tuned clock. And if everything is in place, everything works right, it works well. But because it's so finely tuned, it does not take very much to throw the whole system out of whack. And then it's disaster, then it's a crisis. And we've had a lot of those cracks into the system over the past year. And the way things are going, there's probably going to be a lot more cracks into that system in the coming weeks and months. Are these cracks happening because of coincidence and accidents, or are they purposely happening? I believe that probably some, if not all of it, is orchestrated, but that's my conspiracy, you know, mind, and you don't have to believe that if you don't want. The point is that it is happening. You know, there's still a shortage of workers in a lot of industries. You know, people that are, they just don't want to work. They are still drawing unemployment, or maybe they, for whatever reason, they just don't want to work. They're not working. There's a lot of businesses that's hurting because of that. They're still not up to full speed. The trucking industry has a major shortage of trucks and drivers because a lot of them don't want to do that. There's all kinds of other things that are affecting the shortages. You know, pallets. There's a shortage of pallets. There's a shortage of shipping containers. There's you know, if you just get on Google and just Google, you know, shipping supply shortages and crisis and different keywords, there's countless articles. Some of this is probably going to be used to fuel the fire for some of these plans, these spending bills that are coming out of Washington, and like I already mentioned, the infrastructure plan. But I think it's even bigger than that. This also fits right into the Great Reset, and the Fourth Industrial Revolution, and the globalization of everything. Because we're already seeing articles like this pop up where AI is the new solution to the supply chain. That's right. You know, they claim that it's already developed, or at least it's developed enough that these AI and the machines, the AI computers and robotic machines can basically take over the supply chain. We just flip a switch, and now humans are no longer involved in that. They're putting, you know, RFID chips in so many different things. I mean, there's been videos floating around of those cheap masks coming out of China that have little RFID chips in them. They have these locating packaging chips, markers in them. They're talking about putting that in food and even in vegetables. this is leading to that. I think maybe they desire a smooth transition. I don't know. Maybe they want it to collapse and then bring in the new. But either way, there's going to be a transition period. And there's going to be some hardship, and we're seeing that already. We're seeing that in prices. We're seeing that in the supply of goods, along with inflation. It's like it's happening at the same time. And that's why I've talked about when I make the videos on inflation, of why I think that it's inflation and hyperinflation is going to be worse for us right now than it has been for places like Venezuela and Germany and others that's gone through hyperinflation, because they basically went through hyperinflation and that was it. We're going through inflation that looks like it's leading to hyperinflation, and we're going through a massive supply chain logistics nightmare. And we're going through this health crisis, and we're going through the rapid change of our society into this Marxist, worldly, very much anti-biblically based society. So we're going through massive changes on multiple fronts all at once. And I personally cannot think of a time in history where a large, great nation has gone through that many rapid, radical changes all at the same time. So we don't know how it's going to affect us. I think we can all pretty much guess it's going to affect us negatively, that the outcome isn't going to be good. There's still some that believe America's too big to fall. And I think if that's your belief, I completely disagree with you. And I think that you probably need to rethink that. But looking at the things, and like I said, going back to this whole bridge deal, even though it didn't last long with the barge traffic, and we don't know, at some point they may shut down the barge traffic again because of this bridge if it worsens. Just that one thing, one crack in that one bridge, and we see how delicate the supply system is and how it can disrupt things so rapidly. Look at that ship over in the Suez Canal. Let's just assume that the official story is correct and it was just an accident that it got stuck. The mistake of one or two or just a few people, whatever it was, to get that ship stuck in the Suez Canal. Look at the catastrophe that it happened and how bad it could have been if it had lasted longer. It would have been even worse. And we're seeing that all over, that just a small singular event can have a drastic change in our entire supply chain in many different areas. And so, folks, this is why you have to, really get serious about this. This is why it's so important to grow your own food and to produce it and to preserve it and to stock up on the things that you need and to become as self-sufficient as possible. Because as our system, as we become more and more dependent upon this highly, big web tentacles of a supply system, global system, we're seeing that the bigger it is, actually, the more fragile it is, and the more it's on the verge of completely collapsing. And that's why we have to be prepared and get our houses in order and get ourselves prepared mentally, physically, and spiritually, because a lot is happening right now, and a lot is going to continue to happen that's going to greatly affect the lives that we live. So, folks, get ready for it. I don't know what else to say about it, but get ready. All right, folks. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.